Yo, sarapela. My name is Sebastian and welcome to the channel. So my girlfriend and I are just over a week away from closing on our first investment property and we're super excited about it. Now, given that we're buying a home and potentially leaving the tenant life behind forever, that got me thinking about the buy versus rent debate. And I think popular belief is that renting is bad because you're throwing your money away paying the landlord's mortgage, but buying is the way to go because every time you pay the mortgage, you build equity and your net worth. But today, I'm here to tell you that that's not entirely true. So you can't just compare a rent to a mortgage and say that if the rent and a mortgage are about the same, then why not just buy? It's not an apples to apples comparison, and when you're making a decision to buy or rent, there's a lot of other factors that you need to consider. So let's talk about it. When people think about the cost to rent, they're thinking about the money that they're spending without getting anything back in return. I mean, yes, you get a roof over your head for the month that you pay, but the money spent is lost forever. When they're thinking about a mortgage, they're thinking about the principal pay down portion, so the return of equity that they get monthly until the loan is paid off completely. But I'm sorry to say, but the mortgage is not the only cost associated with buying a house, and that's why it's not an apples to apples comparison. Owning a home also has expenses that you never get back, like property taxes, insurance, unexpected repairs that come up, all the utilities, because sometimes when you're a tenant, you only pay some of the utilities, homeowner association fees, and if you put less than 20% down, the expense that you never hear about, mortgage insurance. So not including the mortgage, these expenses could be an additional $1,000 a month or more depending on where you live. So just looking at the mortgage doesn't give you the full picture. Other costs that you need to consider are the down payment and the closing costs that you need to purchase the property. Now, in most cases, you'll be putting 20% down if you can, and anywhere from 2 to 5% of the purchase price and closing cost fees. Now, if you're buying a home for $200,000 and we use 2% for the closing costs, then you'll be paying $44,000. So, and that will be gone from your bank account, and you can't get that back unless you sell the property, which could be at a loss. So that's one of the disadvantages of buying a home. It's having that much money tied up in it that you can't use to invest in something else that could potentially give you a better return. Now, on the other hand, if you're renting, the out-of-pocket could be an application fee, a moving fee, maybe a month or two of security deposit. I mean, whatever it is, the total out-of-pocket is considerably less than the total out-of-pocket for purchasing a house. If you had that same $44,000 in your bank account, instead of using it as a down payment to buy a home or to get stuck in a home, you could use that money, all of it or some of it, to invest in something else, like the stock market or any other investment. If it's the stock market, your money won't get stuck, right? So the stock market is way more liquid to take your money out. I mean, you might still be at a loss if the stock market went down for whatever reason, but it's easier to get that money out than if it is stuck in a house. When considering whether to buy or to rent, people fail to consider also all the other factors that might affect their decisions in the long run. So, do you think you're someone that wants to live in the city that you're in for the next 5 to 7 years? Maybe you value flexibility and you want to be able to pick up and leave whenever you want to and not be tied down to just one city or tied down to just one job. Are you single? Are you married? Do you have kids? I mean, all these questions can all affect your decision to move somewhere else. So if you bought a small house and you ended up getting married or having kids, you might want a bigger house. If you got a bigger house and you failed to correctly estimate the costs associated with that bigger house, it might put a strain on your finances, and then you might decide that you want to downsize. I found this study done by Bankrate last year stating that nearly half of home buyers have regrets over their purchase. And looking at the data, these were the common reasons why they had those regrets. So 18% said it was because of maintenance and other costs that were more expensive than expected. 12% said they bought too small of a house. 8% said it's because of bad location. 7% didn't think it was a good investment. Another 7% said the mortgage payment was too high. 6% said they didn't get the best mortgage rate. And 5% bought too big of a house. I mean, all these regrets could be avoided with a little bit of research and knowing exactly what you're getting yourself into. Now, if you're trying to build up your net worth over the next, say, 15 to 30 years, then a great argument could be made in favor of buying a house. In a way, having to pay your mortgage forces you to save every month. But instead of putting that money in a savings account, you're slowly paying down the loan and building up an asset. That, along with the property value hopefully going up every year, can put you in a great equity position. The same cannot be said if you're renting. So not being forced to pay into an investment like a house or a stock or whatever you invest in, it's way easier to just spend your money on things you don't need and end up not saving or not investing much of it at all over time. I mean, a lot of people struggle with not spending the money they have saved up. And that's why having a mortgage is a good way to passively add money to something that could raise your net worth over time. So if you're thinking about buying a house and haven't done the research, maybe you should reconsider. And on top of that, if you're thinking about buying a house to live in, so I'm not talking about people investing in real estate to make money. If you're just buying to live in it, I'd recommend having 20% of the down payment plus the closing costs available in your bank account. So that will reduce your payments and your debt, and you won't have to pay any mortgage insurance. So if you can't do that, maybe you're just not ready. And if you feel like you have to take money out of your retirement account, you should probably keep renting and save a little longer. If you think you're gonna have to sell the property within 5 to 7 years, for that short amount of time, you're taking a lot of risk because you don't know what's gonna happen to the market in a short term. And all those fees and taxes associated with buying and selling, you might as well just save yourself all that money and keep renting. So no one can really answer the buy versus rent question for you because the answer depends so much on you and the specific area you live in. So before you make that decision, make sure you do your research, make sure you have enough money saved up, and make sure you could afford all the expenses that will come up. So that's all I got for today. If you think this video was helpful, make sure you like it and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to share this video with a family or friend you think might be interested in that type of content. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.